the Falcon Caribbean, the Austin 7 Ruby, and air-cooled flat 6. Couple of classic open-top British cars here. You can see the joining pieces in the middle of the bumpers. That's quite a late one. It'd be remiss of me not to turn around and have a close look at this Van den Plas. Sunbeam Talbot 90. Ford Model Y, and that is quite an early one. The Heinkel Deluxe, the Renault 15 and the NSU Prince. How nice is that? I happen to have my 1959 I Spy cars book with me. With the Multi-Mark Club here, the Manchester Historic Vehicle Club. What a rare, unusual car that is. Quite an early Honda 50 on there. Off goes the Model Y van. It's a beautiful pre-war Singer. Well, morning folks, welcome to the Old Classic Car channel. This year I thought I would pop back to Tatton Park for the Classic Car Show, possibly the biggest event of its type in the area. It's a two-dayer. We're coming today just on day one. Well, I say we, I'm flying solo today, no youthful assistant. But the weather is set fair, so I'm sure we're going to get some fantastic cars here, including this glorious pre-war Riley Sprite. Letting a bit of fresh air into the DeLorean DMC-12. Lovely Austin Healey there, followed by a Honda Civic Type R, modern classic, and a 1966 Vauxhall Viva HA. The cars are pouring in here to Tatton Park. The Riley 1.5. Very nice two-tone car, pursued by Jaguar XJS. And a classic Range Rover. Probably the V8 most of them were. They did do a few diesels, but by the sound of it, that's the Rover 3.5. And this Austin A60 Cambridge we saw very recently somewhere. Where was it? Stunning Jaguar here. Very swish indeed. The Consul Classic. The Hillman Avenger. Much modified Ford Capri. And the Jensen Interceptor. I imagine his cooling fans have had a bit of a workout in the queue here this morning. A 65 Mustang. And behind that, an Escort. There's a familiar face. We saw this at Goresworth just a few weeks ago. The Falcon Caribbean, the Ford pop-based Falcon Caribbean. That gentleman's owned that for many, many years. That's followed by another Riley 1.5, this time all over black rather than the two-tone. The Avenger Estate. And a big Corvette. First of, I'm sure, quite a few stags that'll be here today at Tatton Park. This is a huge event and you get cars coming from all over the place. Obviously we're in Cheshire, but cars from Staffordshire, Shropshire, Manchester, Lancashire, North Wales, they all pour in here. This is a really well supported event. I think we saw this Corvair, was it Boxing Day or New Year's Day, at the Black Swan. Great looking vehicle that is, rear engined, air cooled flat 6, 1965. That's a convertible version. They did the fixed head to the coupe version as well. Yeah, I had quite a chat with the owner of that one, I'm sure. There can't be too many of those around. Unsafe at Any Speed was the book by Ralph Nader, where he condemned the handling, especially of the earlier Corvairs. There's that interesting little car we spotted at Capesthorne only last weekend. It's like a homage to the Metro 6R4 Group B rally car of the 1980s. Austin 7 Ruby, very nice too. So I said about 1936, 37 maybe. Sierra Estate is hotly pursued by quite a late example of the Austin 1800, the so-called land crab, as designed by Ali Kisagonis, he of the post-war Morris mine. So you get a bit of everything. There is a performance car angle to this particular event, but we'll be focusing on the older cars like this wonderful little Morris Traveller, because after all this is a classic car channel. Renault 5 GT Turbo, very nice. And this Skoda, we saw this one at Capesthorne just a few days ago. Pretty mad car, front engine as opposed to the usual rear engine, and behind that the Austin Healey Sprite, which shares its body shell with the MG Midget. Fairly early Mark III Ford Cortina there. The mighty Dodge Viper, all V10, based on a truck engine, I believe. One of the 7 lookalikes behind that. Lovely 1967 Jaguar Mark II Saloon. The TVR, the model of which escapes me at this moment in time. We saw that tribute to the old 50s Aston Martins on the Weaver Wonder just a week or two back as well. There's some familiar faces here, but there'll always be quite a few cars we just haven't seen before. That's what makes it really worthwhile attending. And here, the stunning XJ Series 1 that won Best Jaguar in Show at Capesthorne very recently. RS 2000 Escort. Mark II Escort 1.6 Mexico, and a Subaru. This time the Morris 1800. Behind the Blue Stag, fans whirring. There's a very bonny little Mark I Austin Mini. Originally these were badged up as the Austin 7 in 1959. It's got the wider wheels off a Cooper S on it. Yeah, that is an Austin 7. Stunning Cresta there, a convertible version of the E-Series Vauxhall Cresta, the 6-cylinder car. A Fiat 124 Sport. And the Leyland Princess 2. The Nova GTE is hotly pursued by the Ambassador Van den Pla. It's an XJ Coupe, the 4.2C, based on the short wheelbase Series 2 XJ platform. Then we've got a Wolseley, the 1885, the 4-cylinder Wolseley based on the Land Crab body shell. Of course there was the Wolseley 6 as well, which looked very, very similar. We saw one of those. Where was that at? Goresworth Hall. And another 1885. The A55 Cambridge Mark II. They were built from 59 through to 1961 with the 1489 B series engine in them. And in revised form they became the A60 Cambridge. A Fiat Punto Sporting. Or perhaps the GT even. MGB GT. The Stingray. There's quite a gathering of those at Goresworth Hall recently. The club had a stand there, I believe. Fantastic little Ford Anglia, the E494A. Happy memories of owning one in an identical colour to that, not that long ago. 933cc. Next up, I think, a Toyota Celica GT4, I believe. Yep. Super little Austin A30 here, still in its original registration number, which is good to see. 803cc. That's a two-door. They did the four-door and the vans, of course. Not forgetting the van-based Countryman estate. Yeah, the Viva HA before, and this is the Bedford HA van. Prefect 107E, so that's the four-door, basically the four-door version of 100E, but with a later overhead valve engine. A 35 van behind that. I'm sure I can hear a diesel. A Humber Sceptre being transported in. Morris Mine 1000 in rose taupe. I'm sure that's the colour of that one. MGF. And a Plymouth Roadrunner. Followed by Vauxhall Viva, the HB Viva, a two-door car. The Riley 468 or 472, that's the 472. The Lotus Elan Sprint. Porsche, is that the Cayman? Great little TVR. The Renault 4-based van. That is a lovely little thing from the mid-1980s, complete with a little lift-up flap in the back of the roof, so you can carry your ladders sticking out the back. A convertibilised BMW 316, based on the E21 3 Series, hotly pursued by MGB Roadster, and the Austin Metropolitan, which began life as the Nash Metropolitan, built on behalf of Nash but by BMC here in the UK. Classic cars are continuing to pour in. There's a Ford Cortina 1600E, nice sounding MGB Roadster there, chrome bumper car, the Audi Quattro, the 5-cylinder 4-wheel drive Quattro, a magnificent Rolls Royce. Of classic open top British cars here. The Austin Healey 3000 with many nice badges on the front. Big BMC C-Series engine in that, and that's followed by the Triumph Vitesse convertible from 1966. Little Rover 200 here, the R8 Series Rover. And the Spitfire Mark III, debumpered. That brings back a few memories. That Renault 9. Last time I saw one of those, we were driving around France and we had to do an emergency U-turn just took a video one that we spotted in a car park. If you haven't seen that video yet, where we spent a week trawling France for interesting finds, do a quick search across the channel. It's well worth catching that one. Wow, somewhat customised Cortina with a tribute to the Dam Busters 617 squadron on the door. I'll try and have a closer look at that one a little bit later on. '67 Triumph TR4A with the Surrey roof. Behind the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 1 is a fantastic little Ford 500 van based on the Model Y. This one dates to the mid-1930s. Little 8-horse engine in that one, 933cc. Very similar to that engine that was in the Anglia, the grey Anglia, just a few minutes ago. The modified pop behind that. The Volvo 345, we saw that one, was it Western Park? A little pop, 100E popular there. The Daimler, 1964 Daimler version of the Jaguar Mark II, that had the 2.5 litre V8 engine designed by Edward Turner. Very smart B there on the J plate. And a magnificent open top Riley RM. Very swish indeed. The Esprit behind that, slightly modified Ford Thames van, probably 500 or 700 weight, but officially known as the 307E. Great little Morris Minor, brush painted just as so many of them were back in the day. And another two-tone Riley 1.5. There's a good turnout of these sporty little four-door saloons here today. And we like that a lot. It's a pretty rare Mitsubishi. Is that a turbo? The Lancer or the Galant? Yeah, it's the Lancer. Mark V Ford Cortina. The Riley Elf. What's the booted upmarket version of the Mini? This is a Vogue, the Sunbeam Vogue rather than the Singer Vogue. So that's quite a rare sight and in beautiful condition as well. And what do we have here? I'm not quite sure what we're looking at there, but looks fun regardless. Triumph 2500 Pi, the Mark II, very nice too. Fuel injected, Lucas fuel injection in those, just like on the TR6. It's like a recreation of the old Lolas. The Viva HC Estate, and another Corvette Stingray. Another 3 Series BMW based on the E21. Now that's got the two headlights either side. I'm guessing it's a 316. They usually just had the single headlights per side. I'm sure I'll have to check up on that. Mercedes-Benz SL, the 500 SL, the 5 litre V8. Another very almost silent Silver Shadow 1. Slightly earlier Range Rover compared to those that we've seen already this morning. And that's followed by an MX-5. Very nice too, especially on a day like this. And gracing the mirrors of this Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit, we have a lovely low light, really early low light Morris Minor convertible. That is just a great little car. You can see the joining pieces in the middle of the bumpers, where at the last minute they decided to widen the design of the Morris Minor. They'd already made the bumpers, so rather than make new ones, they just chopped up the ones they'd made and put a filler piece in them. How cool is that? And there's that Volvo PV544 Sport. Beautiful car that is. Still they come in. Mark 1 Triumph 2000 on a 1965 registration. I do like the shape of those. I'm sure my youthful assistant would approve of that one. Quite a turnout of older Audis as well, the Quattros. A 65 Austin Healey 3000. Again, many badges. Great little Mini there, very nice too. Nice to see standard ones. And talking of standard, we have a very unstandard Ford 100e over there. I'm not quite sure where this BMW is going. It seems to be the Droop Snoot Firenze estate. The sport hatch looks black, but it's actually very dark, sort of crimsony maroon colour. 1500 Spitfire, Mark 1 MX-5, we like that one. An old console classic there, a two-door Ford console classic. Work in progress, had a chat to the owner of that one a little while ago. Very much a preservation job, that one, but actually very sound. Jag, a few members of the public starting to come in now. Another lovely little moggy here. Late 50s one, that is. The Chevette HS. That and the HSR were Vauxhall's response to the Ford rally car successes of the 1970s. 66 E-Type 2+2 Fiesta being overtaken by Triumph Herald 1360 convertible. Jaguar Mark II, Mazda RX-7, Triumph Acclaim, who remembers those? The Honda-based Triumph, the Austin Healey Sprite Mark I, souped up Ford Anglia, and another Corvette. Series 2 Jaguar E-Type, fixed head coupe, 4.2 litre, then the Jensen SV8, now there's a car you don't see too often. I did a compilation of Jensen photographs only recently. The Renault 5, quite an early one there. Lotus Elan +2. Wow, what a gaggle of classics we're seeing today. Mark II Escort 4-door, the 1600 Sport. First of the Series 3 V12 Jaguar E-Types that we've seen today. But definitely not the first Thames 307E. This lovely little green one gets to many of the shows we get to. We've got a 65 Anglia here, the saloon. (2002) TII BMW, hotly pursued by another 2002 BMW. Both slightly later cars with the rectangular rear lamps as opposed to the tiny little circular lamps. Very nice looking cars there. I'm surprised they're not at the BMW deal at Tatton Park today. TVR Chimera. XJR 370 brake horsepower supercharged V8. Super Rover there. Jaguar XK80 is pursued by Austin Maxi. Jensen Interceptor with its fuel flap open. The Ford 100E, the Prefect, and that's the side valve powered car. Some being told that Lotus. Crayford convertible version of the Ford Cortina Mark II. Maybe we'll go for a bit of a walk down this queue. Rover P4, very nice too. Second Frog Eye Sprite of the day we've seen. MGF. Cars are pouring in. Lotus XL, followed by Lotus Eclat, which looks very, very similar. You can see the family link. Two-stroke Saab 96. Got a Mark II console. It's a lovely car, that is. I think we saw this one on the Weaver Wonder recently. Super clean 4-door Cortina Mark I. Got a Rover P5B saloon, 3.5 litre V8. Sunbeam Tiger, 260 cubic inch V8 in that. Scimitar GTC, another Sunbeam Tiger, very nice too. Very appropriate onesie. Almost forming 2 lanes now, so I have to be careful where we walk. Bentley Continental, lovely car, great moggy. I love that shade of green. The Riley Elf. Will we see any Wolseley Hornets today, I wonder? A Hillman Imp. Mini Mayfair, pursued by Mercedes-Benz SL, the R129, Sunbeam Alpine, Mark 1 Austin Mini. Now, is this a Mini or an Austin 7? It's an Austin 7 again. Behind the Corvette, great little Austin 7. It's quite an early one with the headlamps on the scuttle, little Austin 7 chummy. What a great little car that is. About 1923, 24. It's always great to see some pre-war activity at these shows. Got a TR6 to the left of us, TVR Tasman to the right. Yeah, got a few moderns coming in now. 1964 Jaguar Mark II in white. 1965 Austin Cambridge. Very distinctive gear wine. Behind the Lotus Esprit, Ford Pop, the 1172cc Ford Pop 103E, MGB Roadster, and a huge GMC here, complete with horns on the front. Is that the Fall Guy? Triumph Dolomite Sprint, very cool, 16 valve. Honda S2000, a high revving Honda S2000, 65 Austin Healey 3000. Sun's coming out, MG Midget, the 1500, quite a late one. What's this beauty here? The Javelin, the AMC Javelin, a camper based on the old Morris van. Sierra Sapphire Cosworth, the 4-wheel drive. Rover SD1, the Austin 7 Ruby. We had a green one before, now it's the turn of a midnight blue with black wing example. The Ford Thunderbird here, Whisper Quiet, Triumph Rover even, 2000 TC, the MGA Roadster. You find yourself talking on autopilot after a while. Another Dolly Sprint on an L plate. Some say the earlier ones were built slightly better than the later ones. Is that true? Got a Datsun 240Z. Dodge and Chevrolet having a conversation. Toyota Celica. An immaculate Beetle. No, it's the Jeep Cherokee. Jaguar XJ6. An X5. A Nissan Figaro with appropriate Fig registration number. The Rover 3 litre coupe, so that predates the V8 powered cars. Quite a rare car, the coupe version of the 6-cylinder Rovers. 66 Austin Healey. Magnificent Rolls Royce. I wonder who did the coach work on that one. Very nice. Ford Consul. Mark 1 Cortina, the Consul Cortina. VW Thing. 66 Mustang. Cars are piling in, they're trying to get all the cars off the road. Another, oh, hi John. Gentleman in the Austin Healey lives just around the corner from us. He's got some tasty cars. Honda there, the Prelude. 911 Targa. That gentleman follows the channel. Morning. Great little Fiat X19 here. Mid-engine car, of course. Another Honda Prelude over here. Some of these had four-wheel steering. Morning. Great stuff. Mini Clubman on an end plate. Great colour. What do we have here? Anglia with Anglia Estates based. It's a trailer. Three-litre Capri Mark 1. I like the sound of that. Fruity sounding Spridget. V6 Capri 2. Another 3-litre Capri. Got a few Capris here today. There's another one on a Y plate, a 2.8 injection. MGB GT, Citroen CX. That's quite a late one. We saw that Prestige at Cape Thorne Hall the other day. This is the CX22 TRS. MX-5s, we like a bit of that. Another Capri 280, one of the very last, the 280 Brooklands cars. MGF. Who knew there'd be so much walking involved? Got Fiat Panda 100 horsepower. Front wheel drive Beetle. Triumph TR3A. A little Fiat 500. The MG RV8. Burble, burble, burble. And MGF with hardtop. I've been coming to this show since the late 1980s, on and off. Quite a few memories of this place. One of them was visiting here in my Austin A40 Devon, a 1949 Austin Devon, and the timing chain decided to snap just as I was leaving the car park here, and I broke down somewhere along here and I had to wait several hours for the AA to come and pick me up. Sat there waiting while everyone poured out of the show, just like the cars you're seeing now, obviously pointing in the opposite direction. But yeah, that was one of my abiding memories of being here at Tatton Park. Another one is we were camping over and we decided to go to the last night of the proms at the lake, which is over the other side of the here at Tatton Park. And I was in my little Ford E83W pickup, so there was two of us in the front, 7 people clambered into the back, and we went cross country one evening to go and catch the last night of the proms. That was a very, very civilised evening indeed. Did have a bit of an effect on the steering of the pickup with all those people in the back, but never mind. It'd be remiss of me not to turn around and have a close look at this Van den Plas Princess, the 4-litre R. It's got a Rolls-Royce engine in that. It was an engine that Rolls-Royce designed, I believe, with military use in mind as opposed to cars. But BMC decided it'd be a good idea to fit that into their top-of-the-range car. And that really was it, the 4-litre R. Super smooth engine, very, very nice, quiet, powerful engine. Look at that Thunderbird there. Quite a late scimitar there. Was that the Sabre or something similar? But my eye is immediately drawn, not to this diesel Ford, but this stunning Bedford. What a beauty that is. Isn't that phenomenal? I love the sign writing on that. Isn't that beautiful? That's pursued by a pre-war Daimler. That's quite a rare two-door coupe, late 1930s. What a great pair. Renault 21. We parked next to that at Marbury Merry Days. If you haven't seen that little video yet of the country fair over at Marbury, and I recommend that. A little bit different, bit of a country show but with a car element to it. We took the Ford V8 Pilot to that one. Got another Triumph Dolomite here. Hiya, patriotically flying the flag there. Very good to see that one. This big Heimer we saw pulling into the car park at Goresworth Hall just a few days ago. It's amazing some of the things you see here, there and everywhere. There's a 67 MGB there. Behind this Citroen, a very low-slung Lotus Esprit. The Daimler DS420. Consul Capri. Vauxhall Victor FD. TR4A with Surrey roof, very nice too. The Mercedes 190E. Great little VW Beetle there, quite a late one with a curvy windscreen. Is that the 1303? And then we've got a Sierra XR4i. 3 Series BMW, the E36 Coupe, about 1998 or 9. 2CV of course. The Dolly limited edition. Vauxhall Viva HC Saloon, the 4-door saloon. Nice to see that. Always like to see saloons at these shows. Those are the cars that people can relate to most of all, I think. What's that behind the Morgan? Very nice too. What a great little Austin Cambridge, an A40 or an A50. Which one is it? We'll have to look on the back. It's an A50. It's 1500cc engine. There's a Herald behind that. Vauxhall Nova GTE. Very neat little cars those. Capri 2. 2 litre. Hello. Another follower of the channel there. The Riley 1.5s are certainly well represented here today at Tatton Park Car Show. Diesel. Got a tribute to a Ferrari there in its mirrors. Bright yellow Triumph Spitfire. A magnificent Alvis behind that. Very handsome machine. I could see myself in one of those one day, probably a fixed head coupe. The TD21s, they really do appeal. Bentley, the Continental T. Beautiful Rover P1 there, mid-1930s. It's a sports saloon. I shall doff my hat in the presence of the Rolls-Royce. Rover 75. There's a little Quantum. It's a Ford-based kit car. The Hellman Minx. Not seen one of those for a while actually. It's a 1965. The squarer roofline compared to the slightly earlier cars. But yeah, it's always nice to see a bit of Roots Group action. They often tend to get overlooked in comparison to sort of the likes of BMC cars, Fords, that kind of thing. You don't see so many Roots Group cars. Land Rover is heading towards us at a very sedate pace. Where did that come from? Sunbeam Talbot 90. They are very nice cars, quite a sporting saloon. Did well on the Monte Carlo rallies in the 1950s, those and the open top cars. Yeah, I do like those. So much for me saying it's the end of the queue. A few cars coming in from the starboard side as well. Look at that beautiful Austin Healey. Another MGR V8. Very handy car, that one. I will have a wander around the show later and we can have a closer look at some of these cars. There's a Range Rover, the P38. An Aston Martin DB5, 1964. What a beauty that is. Behind the vivid blue Jaguar, I spy a very rare E93A Prefect drophead. Wowzers, that's a rare car. Those were built either side of the Second World War, or at least the saloons were. I'm not sure about these Tourers, but that is a proper rare sight. That's one of the benefits of coming to some of these larger shows. You do see some cars that you don't tend to see at other events. What a great thing that is. Behind the A60 Cambridge, got a Volvo P1800, one of the cowhorn bumper cars, the very early ones, bodied by Jensen. Another classic side valve Ford heads into view, this time in the shape of an early 1930s Ford Model Y, and that is quite an early one, about 1932 or 33. It's a short rad car, a short radiator with a straight front bumper. Later cars had a deeper radiator and a dip in the front bumper. So that is actually a very rare car, even in the world of pre-war side valve Fords. That's quite unusual. Now we have the Wolseley 1500, the Wolseley version of the car, very similar to that. It's the Riley 1.5, well, the Riley was the sportier version. This slightly less so, but even so with a 1500cc engine. They went very well, rack and pinion steering as well. So yeah, good little cars they are. A great little pre-war Ford. You can see where the Pop 103E shape first started out. That's a pre-war car. Four door saloon. Now is that a 7W or a 7Y? I can never remember which is which, but it's not important. Important thing is that it's here today at Tatton Park and it's looking fantastic. Such a rare car that is. Followed by a slightly later Ford, the Escort Cabriolet. Anything else? Oh, here we go. Nice Herald 1360 convertible there. sharp little Mini there on the trailer. Very nice too. Austin A35 two-door saloon. It's a nice early 1800 with those the slim horizontal rear tail lights. It's great to see that here today. A Renault 12. Occasionally we see a blue one, but I'm not sure if we've seen this one before.
You got a ticket, yeah? Yeah, okay.
It's always worth keeping your eyes open when walking around the car park as well. Look at this MG. Another Van der Plas Princess, this time the 3 litre. So that's got BMC's C-Series engine in it, as opposed to the 4 litre R that we saw before with the Rolls unit. Yeah, very nice too. That's parking up in the main public area. A Lincoln Continental. What's that over there? A 2-door Vauxhall Viva, the HB car. Had to think for a moment there. Still a bit early in the day for me. Will we see any Austin A40 Farinas here today? Very nice 911 SC here. These really suit white, very sharp white. Really highlights all the black accents on the bodywork. Got a big whale tail spoiler. Very nice. MGB is for sale, £5,250. A Jaguar XK150. There's a Volvo 760 Estate. Pretty sure that's a 760, which has got the V6 engine. A Singer Vogue. Volvo 480 ES. This late 50s Morris Minor 1000 here in the car park is just a real beauty. I didn't know the colour of this, the name of the colour, other than being pale green. But yeah, late 50s, clap hand wipers, but one-piece windscreen. By this point in time, 2-door, but still with the semaphore pop-up indicators. Still got the correct rear lights. I think the mud guards, the wings, had they changed over to the full wings by this point in time? I'm not quite sure. It's a lovely little car, isn't it? Great interior. Hope you can see that. Yeah, what a beauty that is. Just have a quick wander up here. Porsche, late 80s. Drive TR6. The Chevrolet pickup over here, next to another TR6, a debumpered TR6. It's quite a groovy old truck, isn't it? 1974. There's another one I didn't see coming in, the Vauxhall Senator, the 3-litre I. It's quite a rare sight now. The CD. The Volvo Amazon, the 122S. Well, we're through and inside now, ticket bought, so it's already heaving as well. The good thing about this show is that cars can't leave until at least 4 in the afternoon, because so many of the shows we go to, cars start disappearing around about lunchtime, 12, 1 o'clock, and there are already quite a few gaps on the field. So at least with this one, you know that the cars are all going to be here till at least 4. So that gives you time to have a bit of a wander around without having to rush quite so much. They're still coming in. As it's such a huge show and I don't want this video to go on for 6 hours, we will be prioritising some of the older cars. This is an incredible pickup truck conversion made to a BMW 635 CSI. We first saw this car at Goresworth Hall. I wonder what the backstory is with this one. It says offers inviting in the window, so if you fancy a rapid pickup truck, maybe if you've got a window cleaning business, something like this would be just perfect. Quite a distinctive car, certainly for any business to use in the course of their roles and duties. But yeah, what an incredible looking thing. It's actually been done really nicely. Sometimes you see these conversions and they look a little bit haphazard, but this one has really been nicely done. Well, I think I'd still prefer it as a coupe. Royale Windsor for sale. The Rolls-Royce Enthusiast Club Northern Section. An array of very desirable motor cars. Look at this fantastic drop-head coupe next to this landaulet. This has the fold-down roof at the rear only for the rear seat occupants, which is perfect for a day like this, which is unusually sunny. Whereas one chauffeur sits up front here, probably isolated from the rear passengers by the wind-up partition that's just there. Yes, this is very much a car that you would have been driven around in as opposed to driving for oneself. Whereas this magnificent drop-head coupe is the kind of car I think most people would want to drive themselves. A few later cars on here, Rolls-Royces and indeed Bentley. Just have a quick scoot along here. I wanted to have a look at this one here, see if we can get any clue as to who did the coachwork on this. Reminds me a bit of the old Docker Daimlers, but this is very much a Rolls-Royce. Those grills look very much like those on the Alvis TD21s, but who did the coachwork on this? There's no sign in the window to give us any clue, unfortunately. So we'll just have to admire it. A beautiful curved dash. I hope that's coming out okay. Yeah, that really is quite the view down the bonnet. It's got these slight sort of raised fins almost here. And they taper down to the top of the bumper overriders. What a lovely looking car that is. That is just elegance personified, isn't it? What a fantastic car that is. They did build cars properly back in those days. This takes me back, a Porterfold caravan in about 1993 or maybe 1994. I camped over here. I used to own one of these, little folding fiberglass caravan. I had one of these in beige and brown, two-tone. We parked it over just under the trees over there and we camped over. I was in my XJ12 and a mate of mine came over in his Daimler Sovereign, the 420 Sovereign. Mrs. OCC was with us as well. He kept in his tent, we kept in the Porterfold, and it was a jolly pleasant weekend. Maybe I should buy another one. I'll try and feature as many cars as we can in this video, but there are so many that if your car is here and I miss it out, I apologise in advance, but we can't really feature everything. Bonnet raised on the Herald 1360. There's a little 1296cc engine. It's a very familiar sight, very similar engine, just an enlarged version of the engine that's fitted to our standard 8. Very, very similar to the engine that I had in my Spitfire Mark III all those years ago, the mid to late 1980s. So easy to work on, really. Everything is just such a doddle. You sit on the front wheel and you can do pretty much everything you need to do in terms of servicing. You can see how there was so much room available to shoehorn the 6-cylinder engine in there and make the Vitesse. Now I saw this coming in and at first glance I thought it was a Wartburg 301, but it's a bit small for that, I think. I think this is the FSO Sirena. I could be wrong, I'm not too well up on my Eastern European cars, a little two-stroke car, but I'm pretty sure that's what we're looking at here. And what a treat it is to see that. I do love these oddities. FSM, it says on the bonnet and on the dash, so I think that is FSO, in which case I'm almost certain this is the Sirena, but I'll double check that and add a note to this video if I am miles off, because I could easily be miles and miles off. Here's the facelifted car that started out life as the Hillman Avenger, badged up as Talbot by this point in time, but you can clearly see the Avenger lines, different back end, different front end. But yeah, pretty cool, a very rare survivor. We'll carry on our perusal down the line. The Mark II console, the Jaguar XK8 Coupe. Talking of coupes, here is the Rover P5B Coupe. Over here, the Wolseley 1500 that we saw driving in not that long ago, and this is a super original looking car. The paintwork is polished through in places, but it just wears its age on its sleeve, and I'm all for that. Just got a slight bloom to it, you can see where it's been polished through on the high spots. But that is just lovely. Great to see these really nicely preserved cars. Obviously some cars need restoring, they're too far past just being oily ragged or preserved as they are, but when they can be preserved, that's surely the way to go. Much modified, personalised Dolomite here. I'm sure we'll see a few Dolomites here today. 6-volt Beetle, Triumph TR5. Little Honda, saw this one driving in too. There's that beautiful P1 Rover Sports Saloon. Is this a 12 or a 14 or a 16 it could be? It's a 14. There we go. So that's 14 horsepower, the old RAC rating. Nothing to do with engine power or brake horsepower. It was a calculation based on the diameter of the cylinder bore. And depending on what number came up, that is what you paid your road tax based upon. There we go, 1935 Rover 14 horse Sports Saloon. That's very nice too. There's a bit of the blurb, hope you can see that. Just pause the video if you want to read that. Next I will try and include as many cars as we can. There's a little Morris based van. Never sold as a Morris minor van, but that's what everyone calls them. It's good to see it's got the correct commercial bonnet without the strip down the side. Got an Audi R8. First of those were V10, I think, weren't they? And then they offered a V8 a bit later. Here's the Alvis TD21. Very nice indeed. There's a big old Volvo, is that a 960 or the S90, something like that. And there's a Reliant Scimitar Coupe, the GT Coupe, the Escort RS Cosworth. Now, I was pondering this one when it came in. This is a Singer. That is a rare old girl. Occasionally you see the Singer Le Mans or the Singer 9 Coupes, but I'm not sure I've ever seen this one before. Just like the Singer 9 Coupe, the dashboard is, well, not quite horizontal, but very, very sloped. If you ever have a peer in through the side window of the Singer 9 Coupes, you'll see the dash is very, very similar to that, presumably to afford the driver and passenger just a little bit more knee room. That's a lovely quality car, that. Let's carry on our gentle saunter along the road past the Mustang. There's that little Scimitar. That shape started out as the SS1 and became the Sabre a bit later. This is one of the slightly later restyle cars, a bit less wedgy, a few more curves going on the revised version of the SS1. Great little Spitty there. The Mark III Spitfire over here. Next to the Jeep, MG Maestro on the left plate. All the MG bits and bobs inside, the red seat belts and the red piping on the seats. That was an MG only thing to differentiate it from your regular Maestros. Who remembers the talking dash on some of the posh versions of the, I think it was just on the early Maestros. Got a souped up Anglia here, based on the EO4A. There's that little 2CV base special. Air-cooled engine hung out the front. Apologies for any reflections. I'll do my best. The A60 Cambridge, 1965. Austin 7 Ruby. Mid-30s, mid to late 1930s. Next to the MX-5 is the VW Thing. A very odd looking vehicle. I think these were originally intended for military purposes. Still rear engine, just like the Beetle on which it is based. And now we've got the Citroen CX, the 22 TRS. Golf Cabriolet, based on the Mark III. Let's see if we can squeeze down here.
Oh, it could be a C7, I keep looking.
Past the X19 and the Golf Mark I. There's the DS420, I think we've seen this one at Crewe once or twice. And the XR4i, Mark II Escort, what am I talking about? Mark II Fiesta, the Alfa GTV, now is this the V6 or is it the 4-cylinder car? I'm sure there are some giveaways which Alfisti would instantly recognise. I like these little wind down windows, I've never noticed that before. Maybe the badges will tell us. Yes, the GT V6, 2.5 litre, the Busso V6. On the end here, really quite a rare Saab. This is a 2-stroke car, but with a long nose front. For a time, they maintained or stuck with the 2-stroke engine when they launched this revised, longer nosed version of the Saab 96, and then they switched to the Ford of Cologne V4, but kept the same overall styling for quite a time. And then they changed the front end to sort of the 96 V4 that we tend to see at most of the shows we get to. So this is like an interim model. So it's the later shape, but still with the earlier engine, a 3-cylinder, 2-stroke Saab engine. Proper rare car like this one is on triple carburetors if I remember right. And talking of later Saab 96s, conveniently we have one here. This one is on Renault alley wheels, a bit like Mini Lights. But you can see the revised front end of the early 1970s 96 compared to the long nose predecessor behind it. They're both instantly recognisable as Saabs. Very, very nice. Okie dokie, let's carry on up here past an immaculate Mark 1 Ford Capri, the Reliant Scimitar SE5A. Very natty set of alloys on this one. We've got an E28 era BMW here, badged up as an M. A Lotus Elan Series 4, produced from 1968 to 1971. There's the Vauxhall Victor, the FD. Such a variety of classic cars here today. There's a Dolly, quite a late one, on a W plate in blue. Someone commented recently that I don't like Dolomites because I just walked past them. So here we go, just to prove that I do like Dolomites. Here you go. This is the 1850 HL. We saw the modified one just over the back, over there somewhere, and this is much closer to how it would have rolled out of the British Leyland sales agency in the late 1970s or the beginning of the 1980s. It's got the wheels off the Dolomite Sprint on it, but otherwise it's pretty much as it rolled out of the factory. This stunning console we've admired on previous occasions, and I've just noticed something actually. If I come round the back here, just sneaking between these chairs. Where was it? Look at that exhaust tip, complete with reflector on it. I love a period accessory. Never noticed that before. Oh, what a great car this is. Just lovely inside. I love the bench seat, column change. Just a beautifully preserved car. Absolutely immaculate. Okay, we'll carry on along here, past the Golf, past the Corvette. Got a Ford Focus. TVR in many colours. The E30 BMW Cabriolet, and this pair of 2002s that we saw driving in together not so long ago. I like the halo lamps on the front of this one. They were all two-door cars, the 02s, whether the 1502, 1602 or the 2002. They were all two-door cars. If you wanted a slightly larger car, certainly in the late 60s, you had the Neue Klasse cars, the 1800 and the 2000 saloons. They were four-door cars, but all these 02 series were two doors. There was also a sort of hatchbacky one as well, and the Cabriolet, and the Turbo, which was a bit of a monster by all accounts. Great little four-door Escort there. The RX-7 with its rotary engine, the Wankel engine. A much modified Ford 100E, two-door, either a Pop or an Anglia. A very original Mini. We like the look of this. Bless you. A lovely interior. Oh, what a nice little car that is. So many classics are modified now. So many of them have got Mini-like wheels, which you wouldn't have seen much of back in when these cars were current. So it's great to see these cars just as they would have been. We'll carry on to this row. Just had a battery pack up, so hopefully that row has recorded okay. But this is a beautiful Austin 7 Ruby saloon. Dead original interior in there. Wow. That's seen a few backsides in its time. But you lose so much when a car is retrimmed that wherever possible it's always nice to keep the original interior and indeed paint where possible. This is a little lovely car. So this was kind of an evolution. This was sort of mid to late 30s evolution of the Austin 7. A bit like that little chummy that we saw driving in before. The Austin 7 first came out in 1922. All 747cc of it, little four-cylinder side valve engine, and that persisted right the way through to the end. of Austin 7, or pre-war Austin 7 production anyway, and of course the name was dusted down again when the A30 was first introduced in the early 1950s. They used the 7 name for a little while on that, and same with the Mini when that came out in 1959. Yes, always beautiful to see some pre-war cars here. Anyway, let's carry on, because we've got a lot of ground to cover. It's an MG 1100, pretty sure it's the 1100. No, it's the 1300. Oh, here we go. Two-door sports saloon. So this was a bit of like a slightly grown-up, slightly larger Mini Cooper in many ways. It's got a 1275 engine, twin carburetors, and handled pretty much as well as a Mini. So yeah, if you needed a Mini, if you wanted a Mini Cooper or a Cooper S back in the day, but you needed just a little bit more space, perhaps to put some offspring in the back, then this is the car for you. Dad had one of these in the early 1970s, but like most of the ADO 16 cars, it went rusty very, very quickly indeed. Ooh, we have some goodies for sale in front of this Morris Traveller. There's a few brochures for sale here, so I think I'll be partaking in these. The Heinkel Deluxe, the Renault 15 and the NSU Prince. How nice is that?
Magazines are interesting.
Yeah, they're fantastic, aren't they? Oh, I'll definitely have those. Those will be coming home with me. I don't need the Moggy handbook. The Light Car Motorist Magazine. Let's see, that 1948. I think we'll have to bring that home with us. Might have to go back to the car at this rate. The Bondi Keep. Heavens. Lotus Elan. Oh, heck. This is going to be an expensive morning. What's in there, I wonder? Classic quiz. So what have we got? Yes. Yeah, great stuff.
You look vaguely familiar. from some YouTube channel?
Possibly, yes, possibly. Yeah, I've been rumbled.
Trying to see under the brim of your eyes.
Yeah, I've been rumbled.
I thought you look vaguely familiar.
Well, I couldn't not buy those, could I? So thanks to the gentleman for a very fair deal with the Morris Traveller here. I think I'll have to go back to the car and put these in the car, because I'm not carrying these around all day. And there's this incredible Cortina with artwork. It says it's badged up as a Savage.
In America, it's probably. At least you see that.
Look at that.
So they've moved.
Lancasters. Dam Buster Lancasters.
You don't hear them.
Wow, that's quite the paint job.
Well, you assume that they've moved because obviously they've got here. But how they got here and then what
Incredible. Oh, what's it? Oh, garage sale, more things for sale. This could be dangerous.
and then you've got
Having a clear out, that's what we like to hear. Let's carry on down here. There's that Triumph 2000 Mark 1, lovely little Morris Minor with roof down. Very nice too. The Volvo Cabriolet. And a really impressive looking, they're over 3.5 litre, the P5B Saloon. Lots of people go for the coupes and they're probably worth twice as much as the saloon, but I actually prefer the saloons. Very, very nice too. Zircon blue, buckskin leather interior, 76,000 miles, ongoing restoration. Yeah, I ran one of these for a while, had like an off-white one of these. Great wafter, beautiful waffly engine. These were all automatics. The later P6 that came along with a 3.5, you could get a manual gearbox in one of those, a 3500S. As far as I'm aware, all the P5Bs when they were built, they all had the slush pump, the old auto box, as you can see there. And that slide out tray, is that the one that incorporates the toolkit? I'm just trying to remember, I think it is. Oh, very nice too. There's the Reliant Scimitar GTC, fiberglass bodied alongside the fiberglass bodied Lotus Esprit. Another classic Rover, this time a P6, the TC, the 2000 TC, so 2 litre twin carburettor. Past the Honda, another Honda Prelude there. Getting rare now they are. Let's keep going down here. And we'll just nip back to the car with this little cache of classic car brochures. Ooh, I like this 240Z. Look at the size of the engine in that. Huge straight 6 with triple Webers. It's an incredible car. I think it's a recreation of a late 60s Lola. And it sounded phenomenal when it came in. The noise, the floor was shaking when I was filming this coming in. What an incredible car that is.
Have you seen that movie?
We'll have a proper look at these later. Yeah, some lovely old brochures here. I'm a bit of a sucker for old car brochures, as you may have spotted. And these are lovely. Yep, definitely time for one of these now. Super little Hillman Imp in black there, alongside the Sunbeam Talbot Lotus. Great rally cars these were back in the day, and still very popular in historics to this day. There's the Lotus twin cam engine. Corvette, and here's that very distinctive bronze metallic Austin Maxi. Looks like it's for sale. Very comfy, squishy velour seating, marking it out as one of the posh ones. Metallic paint as well. Hatchback, very practical car, very versatile. As I think I said on the previous video, I think that's probably why the original Leyland Princesses weren't hatchback, because they would have just been a direct in-house rival to the Maxi. But of course the Princess was later revamped into what became the Austin Ambassador. We're going past this Spitfire Mark IV. The MGTFs, very nice too. MGB, this was a rubber bumper car. Spoke to the owner on several occasions with this one. It's been converted to chrome bumpers. Then the Series 3 V12 E-Type. And that super immaculate Triumph Acclaim. That's in incredible condition. How has it survived like that? Presumably hours and hours of care lavished upon it. So this was the last gasp for the Triumph Car Company. So a quick peer inside. It's based on a Honda. This was a collaboration even between Austin Rover and Honda. It looks very comfy in there, I must admit. It's probably the most reliable Triumph ever made, and I say that as a Triumph fan. Right, we'll carry on past the Herald, the 1360 Mark 1 MX5. Sure, I've read about this one somewhere. Let's have a look. I think it's a Unos, isn't it? Yep. Yeah, I thought I'd seen it somewhere before. Ferrari Toyota MR2 Mark 1. Very nice that, and look at the Triumph, the Vitesse convertible. It's a 2-litre car, 1966. So let's have a quick look. Yeah. If you need a practical 4-seat convertible, you could do a lot worse than one of these. Separate chassis on these, of course, just like the Herald and the Spitfire and GT6. Bond Equipe, that's very similar as well. Is it Equipe or Equipe? I never know which one it is. We saw a Bond at Marbury Merry Days. We've got a convertible version of that 3 Series. Is it a Bauer or is it another conversion? I'm not quite sure. We've got the C124 Mercedes, the E-Class Coupe, the Oldsmobile Dynamic 88. Bit of information on the screen. Let's have a look here. Bought from Rune Motors, Allentown, Pennsylvania, 29th of April 1963. It's always nice when you know the history of these things. What an incredible car that is. 1963, so the fins were definitely on their way out, although there are fairly pronounced fins on this still, but they were definitely on the way out by this point in time, after, you could say, the excesses of the late 50s just a few years previously. It's a 64 split window camper, very nice too. Another Cobra replica over here. Huge V8 engine under that fiberglass bodywork. And the Austin Mini Cooper, the Mark 1. It's a 1967 car.
because I had the TP. That's when everything was available.
What a great car that is, and this is a beauty. This was parked in this position this time last year. This is a standard Flying 20 V8. I think it's pretty much the only one that's still around. I did see it running. This brass radiator wouldn't have been how it was. It would have been painted, I think, back in the day. But the standard Flying V8 1937. This is a proper rare car. 2686cc side valve engine. Introduced the waterfall radiator grille that was later used on all Flying standards. The engine was totally seized when acquired in 2022. It's had a very thorough rebuild, but this sounds fantastic. Sounds very similar, to be honest, to our V8 Pilot. This is a little bit older. This is 1937, but our Pilot was based on a mid-30s Ford, so kind of it's got a very similar vibe to this car. But this is a seriously rare car. Proper oily ragger as well. Lovely original paint for the most part. I just think it's a stunning looking car. Some of these pre-war Flying standards, especially the larger engine cars, they've just got fantastic Beetleback styling. Maybe this was the inspiration for the post-war standards, the Vanguard Phase 1 with its Beetleback. But I just love the original pattern, the original paint. Some bloke put that paint on there at standard in 1937, and I think that is just, you can't replicate that. If you resprayed that, you would lose so much, I think. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Should this be fully restored, or should it be preserved like this? Obviously the front wings have been repainted, maybe they were just too far gone. But to see so much original paint on this pretty much unique standard is just a real treat. I love this car. Two classic Vauxhalls head up this row. We've got an F-Type Victor here. This is quite an early one, I think. Let's go and have a look, see if the exhausts exit through the corners of the bumper. They do indeed. Some nice lamps for sale down there. £10 a pair. Very reasonable indeed. A few other goodies down here. Yeah, that's a lovely car. That is quite an early one. Is this one yours, sir?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So what year is that then? It's quite an early one, isn't it?
58, yeah.
58. And when did they come out, the F-Types?
Middle of 57.
Was it? Right,
yeah,
right.
May, June time.
Right, so they had the exhaust, but just on one side, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just on the one side.
Yeah.
And then they dropped that after a while, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it was 59.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it something to do with condensation, rotting the bumpers out?
Well,
something?
they just restyled the car. Different door shape and what have you, different bumpers.
Oh, right.
So they had more of a wrap-round bumper on each corner.
Oh, right.
And the exhaust exited under the bumper.
Oh, see, right. Yeah, they sort of simplified it over time a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah.
They went with a more traditional grille on them.
But people did say that.
Sorry.
It's alright, you can have the rest of it.
I'm so sorry.
You can have the other finger as well.
There goes my bagel. Did you like that? Was that nice? Yeah. So, where was I? Yeah, Vauxhall Victor F-Type. So have you had this one a while then?
No, February I bought it.
Oh, right. So were you looking for one of these in particular, or?
I've got a Series 2, but I always like the Series 1.
Yeah, gotcha.
And this came up for sale.
Right.
Reputedly such a good car, but when I got it home I had to strip it and start again.
What, this one? Oh, did you? Oh,
So
well.
I've spent 2.5 months, 12 hours a day on it for 2.5
Have you?
months.
Wow. Repaint it, or?
Yeah. But it looks alright now.
Well, at least you know what's what now, don't you?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, it's there's
I
a
know
lot
all
to
the
be
good
said.
points and all the bad ones.
Well, there's a lot to be said for that, isn't there? No, that's a lovely car. That is. Well, thank you very much for giving us a bit of a talking about it.
Cheers.
Next to the F-Type Victor, we have the Vauxhall PA Cresta. Top of the line, 6-cylinder car. Incredible. And this is quite an early one with a 3-piece rear window arrangement. That changed on later cars, but this is quite early. And according to the cushion in the back window, it's a 59, this one. Yeah, what a great pair. What a great pair of late 1950s Vauxhalls. So American inspired, the styling on these cars. And the proper battery as well. That looks nice. So many engine bays you look in, everything looks fantastic, and then you glance at the battery and it's got all modern stickers on it. So that looks just right. What a great pair of pretty rare Vauxhalls now. Yeah, let's carry on down here. Wolseley 1500 in two-tone paint job. Very smart little Mini. And a Mark II console here, complete with sun visor, LAS 930. The registration number. Windows open, so that means we have to have a look inside. And a lovely bench seat again, is just like that blue one we were looking at before. Holidays to the seaside 1950s style. It even smells proper in here. What a lovely car that is. It's even got a boot rack on it for a bit of added carrying capacity. Very small rear light on this era, and again it's got one of those exhaust deflectors on it, although this one hasn't got a reflector on it. We've got a Series 3 Daimler. We saw this one at Capesthorne Hall just a week or so ago. It's a beautiful car that is. It took part in the arena cavalcade of classic Jaguars and Daimlers. Here, the Opel Manta, very nice too. Is this one of the exclusive limited editions perhaps? Could be. And the Sunbeam Alpine Mark I. Isn't that a Bobby Dazzler? What a stunning car that is. That's the sort of thing that Stirling Moss would have taken rallying on the Monte Carlo rally in the 1950s. And you can always guarantee with a Roots Group car, beautiful interiors. Look at the gauges. Such a stylish dash.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Everywhere you go, you know, you can't put the just to feel it.
Let's just work our way down here past the XJS, the Ford Sierra Estate. Such a common car once upon a time. I'm still reeling from having the bagel snatched from my fingers by that canine just a few minutes ago. I was just chatting to the gent with the F-Type Victor, and I felt a little grab. I felt a bite on my finger, and off disappeared a big chunk of my bagel, much to my distress. So I donated the rest of it to him. Kind of didn't fancy it much after that. Right, we've got a Buick Riviera here. Enormous two-door coupe. 455, presumably that's the engine size in cubic inches. Big block. The Buick Riviera. And at the other end of the scale, size-wise, a very tasty little Mark I Mini. Mini Deluxe, opening side windows, little bumper overriders, the Austin 7. Just like on the old Ford Pops, the the number plate is hinged, so that if you need to carry some bigger suitcases, you can have, because it's bottom hinged, so you can fold that down, and the number plate dangles down, so the boys in blue pursuing you in whatever car they were in can still see your registration number. And we've got a BMC road map, we like that. Cheshire and Staffordshire, very appropriate. I'm sure I used to carry one of those in my A40 when I had that on the road all those years ago. And we've got a very smart MGB GT here. And we're back to Vauxhalls again, Cresta, but this is the earlier Cresta, the E-Series. Of course you had the Wyvern, which was a 4-cylinder car, most of them were saloons. Then there was the Velox, which was 6-cylinder. And then the Cresta, which was top of the tree, which was also 6-cylinder but slightly higher specification, a bit more chrome on it, bit more jazzy looking. And this is the super rare convertible version. What a great looking car that is. All that lashings of chrome. Just such an incredible looking car. There's a little Fiat Coupe. How's this one survived? Oh, stylish little car that is.
So to upgrade the fan, because this one's got a shroud. They say, I mean the guy said it's for an MGB.
A Nova GTE, Jaguar XJ, the XJ8. Is this the one that was for sale recently? Very comfy and inviting interior. Bit of side bolster wear, which is dead common on the X308s and the X300 that came before. Yeah, very nice car, same colour as the XJR we used to have. I'm sure this is based on an MGF. And the Volvo 240, somewhat modified. The Chevrolet Corvette Stingray in open top form, and on the end here, 911. Alright, next row, the Reliant Scimitar SS1, and on the end here, a Barclay, a B95 Barclay, the four-wheeled Barclay. Of course, there was the three-wheeler ones as well. Some of these had Excelsior engines, some of them had Royal Enfield engines. Let's have a quick look at the information sheet in the windscreen. I'll just walk past the shapely tail of this TR4 and the P1800S, round the Scimitar and back to the Barclay B95. I was standing here scratching my head for extra information on this shapely little Barclay, and I remembered in my pocket I happened to have my 1959 I Spy Cars book with me, which was very fortuitous. Sixpence to you, sir. Right, and if we have a flick through here, as if by magic, we have a page dedicated to the Barclay Foursome. This fast, light little sporting car has a plastic body reinforced with aluminium and steel. I spy the curious headlamps. Let's have a look at those. Apparently there are some curious headlamps, slightly different fronts, but yeah, not that curious. They're the standard 7-inch Lucas lamps as far as I can see, but which seem to face upwards because the protective glass, this has got the lamps hidden behind the Perspex covers. The protective glass slopes with the line of the mudguard. The low and narrow air intake aluminium alloy wheel discs on the centre locking wheels. Yep, we've got those. And a 2-stroke air-cooled engine. And for that you score a whopping 20 points if you saw one of those back in 1959. So thank God I had my I Spy book of cars with me. Right, let's carry on up this row. Pat's and his maestro having a quick sandwich so we won't interrupt him in there. And here, a very rakish Lee Francis. What an incredible shaped body on that. Yeah. It's a pretty wild looking car. The Scimitar Coupe, I do like those. And here's the latest Scimitar GTE, the SE6. Big V6 Ford engine under that fiberglass body. Another 3.5 litre Rover Saloon, a P5B. Very stately machine. Used to see these outside number 10 Downing Street in the 1970s. Throughout the 70s, and we've got a Fiat 124 Spider. I do like these, especially these early ones with the slimmer bumpers. Some of the later cars have much chunkier safety bumpers on them. Metro here on an E-plate. I wonder if that's the first tax disc. Could be. And then the Mark II Golf GTI. Series 1 E-Type. On the G, so it'll be a Series 1.5. That's quite a late one because it's lost the covers on the headlights. The very late Series 1s or the 1.5s, the very late 1.5s. They lost those lovely covers over the lamps. There's a bit of blur. Yep, Series 1.5, 4.2 litre. Because of course originally they had the 3.8 XK engine. So this is a really, really late one, I think. Yeah, it has the following Series 2 features. The bonnet but with side lights above the bumper, yep. Cooling system with twin cooling fans. Oh, this car did not require any new panels or welding when it was resprayed. Oh, that must be pretty unusual for one of these. Original bodywork. Yeah, nice. Okie dokie. We'll carry on along here. 3 Series Cabriolet. Oh, more goodies for sale. Oof. Heavens, will we make it past here without buying something? Some semaphore indicators. These are the kind of thing that you would have fitted to like a little pre-war saloon. Because obviously some cars had the trafficators, the pop-up semaphore indicators built in to say the B pillar. But if you wanted to add them to your car that wasn't thus fitted, then you would buy some of these. Commercial vehicles often had these on the back of the cab as well, these self-contained Lucas trafficators. So they're quite nice. We've got some early wipers there. They're always handy. A few tins. AA badge. Some clocks. This is a special holder for carrying bulbs around safely. So there'd be like some rubber or something in there, some padding, and you could put your bulbs in there, and even if this was rattling around in the boot, it wouldn't damage them. So that's what this is. It even says something on it. Hang on, what does it say here? The Atlantic Bulb Box. It's quite neat. £30. There's some nice stuff here actually. But I must be strong. We're here to have a walk around those lovely old cars, so let's carry on past the immaculate red MGB Roadster and the Mark II, the 2.4 litre Mark II Jaguar. Morris van, very nice in the livery of the Forestry Commission. Mini. So it's on the T-plate, but it's been made to look a little bit older with the wood on the side and the old style Austin badge. Great little car. Mini with rally chopper on the roof. Let's carry on down here. The XR3i Cabriolet. Corsa, the Vauxhall Corsa. Another one here. Super clean cars. 7 Series BMW, the E38. And the Triumph 1500. This is a very original looking car. You can tell when you just see a car, you can always tell if it's really original, and this paintwork just looks so right. The Mid Wales Classic Vehicle Club. Yeah, you can always tell it just has a slight bloom to it. It's the original paint, the original interior. Probably quite low mileage, I would have thought. I never noticed the angle of the gear lever on one of these. It's quite unusual. Drive TR6 and a Downton modified MGC GT. Triple carburetors. The front row, a couple of classic Mustangs here. The Toyota MR2, the mid-engined MR2, the Mark 1. Toyota here. Lots of engine in there. The Lancia Delta HF Integrale. Fantastic cars, all left-hand drive. Made famous on the rally stages of the world in the 1990s. Really sought after cars now in good condition. They can take a bit of work if you find a poor one. They're even prone to rusting out. On the back edge of the roof these are. I think it's where the hinges bolt in underneath, but if you're buying a Lancia Delta, have a good look at the roof, because they can even rust there, as well as all the usual places. Let's carry on down here, a couple of moderns. Aston Martin DB7.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I say, we try and show a little bit of everything when we get to these shows, but the priority is always going to be the older cars, because this is the old classic car channel after all. So show a bit of everything, but focus on the older. And here's another car we saw on the Weaver Wonder just a week or so back. The Mazda RX-3, the rotary-engined Mazda. That little cream car that we were looking at much earlier on. Someone's just confirmed to me that it is. So yes, it's an FSO Sirena. So I got there on the second attempt. First I thought it was a Wartburg, but then I changed my mind and decided on FSO Sirena. And someone just looked it up on the DVLA website and confirmed that that's what it is. So this is 280 ZX, is it? Yep. Next to that, the Lotus Europa. Interesting little car, Renault gearbox. Mercedes-Benz 190E. The Alpine. The V6 Alpine. The Ford Escort 1300E, the upmarket one. This was at Goresworth Hall last weekend. The Mark II console. We do like an old saloon, an old 1950s saloon. They're always going to find a favour here with us at OCC, whether it's me or my youthful assistant who often attends these shows with me. He's not here today, he's doing a bit of video editing. Hopefully a little bit of swatting up for his GCSEs, which he's in the middle of at the moment. But we will be out somewhere else again tomorrow, and he will be joining me for that. Okay, what do we have here? It says 1956 Chevrolet.
Yeah, I'll see you.
Pretty wild styling. 2-door on this one. This BMW was parked next to us at Capesthorne Hall just a few days ago. I had a chat to the gentleman that owns that. Mercedes, the SL with hardtop in place, up for sale, 28,000. And here the Volvo P1800, P1800E. It's quite a late one. With similar running gear to the Amazon and indeed the 140 series saloons. Quite a few Triumph TRs for sale over here, but I found myself drawn to this TR4. It's a great looking car. A lot of the paint looks pretty original. No mini light wheels, no wire wheels, just the original tin wheels. I think that looks just fantastic, and it's got the Surrey roof on it, so you've got a hard top when it's raining, and you can whiz the middle bit off when the sun comes out. The sun has disappeared for the time being, but I'm sure it will be back a little bit later on today. Yeah, it's just a really nice, honest looking car. It's a great little Mini Clubman, complete with period cosmic alloy wheels. Club winner, Western Park. It's another show that we get to on a fairly regular basis. Oh, lovely in there. Just a little bit more space to work on the engine compared to the earlier curvy fronted Minis. Past the XK150 and another super little Mini over here on twin carburetors, the Austin Mini Cooper. Whole gaggle of Jensens here, including in the foreground the SV8s that we saw driving in. Got Interceptors, CV8 over the back there will be familiar to anyone who watches the videos here on the Old Classic Car channel, and indeed on my lad Harley's Car Traction channel. There's the mighty Chrysler V8 engine there. Certainly quite the engine. And on the end here we've got the FF, the Jensen FF. Looks pretty much like any other Interceptor. And the giveaway is a slightly longer front, the two sets of vents in the front wing compared to the one set either side on the Interceptor. This is the four-wheel drive car. The front end is slightly squarer. If you look at the front end round here, it's a little bit more angular compared to the Interceptor. Same engine, I think, as far as I know, but the FF has the Ferguson four-wheel drive system and an early form of anti-lock braking as well. So it's quite an advanced car for its time. This is the kind of car the Jet Set used to drive around in the early 1970s. I spy a lot of BMC around here. We've got a Morris-based camper. And what's that? Is that a Westminster? The Wolseley here, the 699 or possibly the 6110. That's a 1964. Let's go and have a look at the boot. Let's go and cheat and have a look at the badging on the back. See what it is. It'll be a 6-cylinder, whatever it is. Yep, 6110. Automatic. I think most of them probably were, but you could also get a manual overdrive car as well. And the A105 Westminster, a pre-Farina shape. Isn't that fantastic? I do like that. I would very happily have one of these. Great 50s cruiser. Two-tone seats, individual little pull-down armrests for driver and front passenger. Over here we've got a Wolseley 6, bit of a restoration project, very original looking car. There's the big transverse 6-cylinder engine. Got a bit of music in the background, so I have to try and talk over that because we don't want to get into any trouble with copyright. So we've got a very late 1800 there, the Rover 100 on the end of the row, and over here we've got the Wolseley 680. Lots of these were police cars back in the day. If you look at the main body tub, you might recognise Morris Oxford MO, because that's what it's based on. This Wolseley was based on the Morris body shell, but with a longer front and a very distinctive upright Wolseley grille on it, with the illuminated Wolseley badge as well. Yeah, nice car. But from the back, its Morris heritage is clear to see. Morris and Wolseley, of course, both part of the Nuffield group at the time. Very nice interior, lovely dash on these. Yes, like I say, beloved of police forces throughout the 1950s. There's a Morris 1800. Another Wolseley, it's probably the 1885. Quite a few of the Wolseley badge variants here. There's the Riley 472, 1967, the 1965 Austin A60 Cambridge, and here a four-door Morris 1100. We're still on the Wolseley stand, and here a Wolseley from 1932, the Wolseley Hornet four-door saloon. These are neat little cars. They have a small capacity six-cylinder engine in these. One of the basis of the Wolseley Hornet specials, of sporty little cars that you sometimes see at VSCC events, hill climbs, that kind of thing. Got a very useful luggage rack on the back, because of course there's not much in the way. Well, there is no boot on cars of this era, so you either had to pile in your luggage alongside you. I mean, saying that, there's actually quite a lot of room in there, or else fold down the luggage rack and put it on there. Yeah, like I say, it's nice to see some pre-war cars. I like the cutaway and the seat squab just to clear the handbrake. This is the Van den Plas, the 4-litre R, the Rolls-Royce engine car. Another great old wafter. I find myself more and more drawn to old wafters. Must be an age thing. And here's that Austin A50 Cambridge, predecessor to the A55, which was kind of similar, but not. B-series engine. The Austin 1800 also had a B-series engine, albeit transversely mounted, so just like the smaller A-series, the B-series was such a versatile engine and got pressed into so much service in so many different cars. MGA, MGB, Austin Cambridges, this, the Morris Oxford. This is the Farina Morris Oxford of about 1968. Yeah, that engine soldiered on right the way through until, what, about 1980, when the last of the MGBs was built. Love the old deck chairs here, luggage on the roof, period correct roof rack, all the goodies, nice little stickers in the back window. We'll just go past this nice camping stove. BOAC. Who remembers BOAC in the pre-British Airways days? British Overseas Airways Corporation merged with British European Airways to form British Airways in the 1970s. We were able to do a comparison between the rear end styling of the A60 Cambridge and the contemporary Morris Oxford. No wonder BMC never made any money. Yes, they took the same basic design and badged them up as Wolseleys, Austins, Morrises and so on. But there were so many detailed differences that they may have almost might as well have just produced different cars entirely. Look at the rear light clusters are all different, the trim, so many differences. Yes, some of the panels are interchangeable, but this one would have had different side strips on it, so it would have been drilled differently compared to the Austin panel, which has two sets of strips down it. So you do have to wonder why they made so many little detailed differences when they were doing these badge engineered cars in the late 50s, throughout the 60s and to the beginning of the 70s. But at least now, for us, it makes them just a little bit more interesting that they do differ in so many details, even the dashboards. Again, if we can just have a quick peek in through here. There's the Austin A60 Dash. I'm sure many of you watching this will have remembered sitting behind that, driving around in that. I'm not sure if the windows, I don't think, the window is open on the Oxford. A very different dash in here. It's got one of those wind deflectors on it. They're quite groovy. You don't see those too often now. Yeah, totally different dash in the Morris compared to the Austin. Jaguars are out in force. We featured many Jaguars in the recent Cape Storm video, so we won't go too berserk this time, but I couldn't walk past this stunning Mark 1, either a 2.4 or a 3.4 saloon. If you've not seen the video I did at Tatton Park recently at the CSCC racing, there were some fantastic race prepared Mark 1s there. And these, I just love these cars. I even prefer these to the Mark II, and I'm a big fan of the Mark II as well. But I just think these are great looking cars. Manual with overdrive. Just fantastic. Just lovely cars, I think. Of course, it was in one of these that the 1958 Formula One World Champion Mike Hawthorne met his maker, sadly.
Sorry, love, I thought you. Oh, sorry.
So we'll carry on. We'll just have a quick look in here. Like I said, I've featured a lot of Jaguars in the recent Cape Storm video, so I won't go too berserk. Because we do try and vary things as much as we can on our channels. Some lovely E-types, fixed heads and open tops, some later XKs over the back there. The XJ 4.2C, the coupe version, a two-door coupe XJ of the mid-1970s. Took so long to get those windows sealing properly. But certainly a very, very sleek car. Borg Warner automatic gearbox in this one. We've got an XK over here. Very unusual white steering wheel. I don't think I've ever seen one with a white wheel on it before. Leather bonnet straps. Jaguar Type C cam covers. So they've been borrowed off an XK120C, or the C-Type, as it was more often known. Let's carry on along here. Our leisurely stroll. Like I said before, it's nice that we know that all the cars are going to be here till at least 4 o'clock, so it just takes the pressure off to get round compared to some of the events we go to. But this is lovely. This is 1938 Bedford KD. What a super little lorry that is. Now this is interesting. At first glance you might think this is another A30 like so many of the A30s that we see around, but no, this is the early AS3. And I'll point out a few of the differences on these early cars compared to the later AS4s, for example. The grille is slightly different, and the Austin badge, this little winged badge, you won't find that on most Austin A30s. When we go around here, and we should see a slightly different dashboard. Hopefully we can see. Note the circular speedometer. That sort of instrument binnacle is very similar to that in the old A40 pickups. The later A30s and the A35s that came after had a very different shaped speedo instrument cluster, if you like. This one's obviously a bit of a work in progress, still not fully trimmed, but this is quite a rare car. We go around the back, and you'll note the fuel filler on the rear corner there, whereas on most A30s it's down there next to the number plate. So again, lots of little detail differences with the AS3. It's really neat to see that. We've got an MGB for sale, and here slightly later A30, so we can do that comparison. Slightly larger all chrome grille, no separate little wing badge, whereas the AS3 over there has that little winged badge. It's great to see those two here. Got an E21 era 3 Series BMW, an Austin A35 and another Austin A30 alongside that. Over here we have the Triumph Dolomite Club. Some are sprints, some are regular dollies, the 1300s and the 1850s. Quick scoot around here, 1973 Dolomite Sprint. Vauxhall and Opals around here. General Motors' finest, an Astra GTE Mark 1. The Vauxhall VX 220, a couple of those here, including one with a towing eye on the front. The Vauxhall Vivas, and here the Droop Snoot Firenze, the HP Firenze. There's that 66 Viva HA at the back. The HC Viva here with an estate over the back there as well. Really cool shape. Perhaps not the most practical of shapes, with that tapering rear roof line. But certainly distinctive. There's the HB Viva. Let's carry on around here. All sorts of different Vivas of different ages, trim levels and so on. There's the Bedford HA van with another one behind it. Clearly a bit of work going on with this one. This HA has been converted. It's got seats in the back and windows. Of course, you could get the Beagle, which was like a little camper van based on the HA Bedford. So a quick look at the info on the side here. Bedford 2+2. Oh, it is a Beagle. 600 weight HAE Beagle. Registered May 1st, 1979. So that's quite a late one. The XR Owners Club here. Great little Mark 1 XR2 over there. Photos of the restoration. Mark 2 XR2. Various Escort XR3Is. Some with roofs, some cabriolets. Quite a variety of Rileys over here, headed up by this stunning Sprite. What a great looking car that is. We often see one or two of these down at Bicester Heritage when we're going on for the Bicester Scramble meetings. Those are videos well worth catching if you've not seen them yet. It's such a stylish looking car, I think. Look at the grille on that. Just an incredible waterfall type grille. There's the Riley Elf from 1967. One of the Riley 1.5s we saw coming in bonnet up, so we can have a look at the twin carb B-Series engine, 1489cc. So a very similar engine to that in the A55 Austin Cambridge. So like I was saying before, these B-Series lumps, they found their way under the bonnet of all sorts of different cars. They certainly got their money's worth out of this one. Next to this A60, we have a bit of a work in progress, or maybe work not quite started, on the Scepter. This one we saw coming in on the back of a recovery vehicle, I think, just a bit earlier on today. All sorts of cars here today, something for everyone I would have thought. This Singer Vogue is an automatic. So this was a much reworked upmarket version of the Hillman Super Minx. This is one of the slightly earlier cars with the, still had the wraparound rear windscreen, or the rear screen, and the slopier roof line. Later cars, it was a bit sort of boxier at the back here, and it had this flatter rear window. Similar job that they did on the larger Humber Hawks. They had the wraparound screens and were replaced with slightly more angular affairs. A bit like this actually, this Minx that we've got here. So you can see the difference. Very similar. And while we're over here, here is that Hillman Minx Californian. This is a rare car. It looks like a convertible, but it isn't. It's a fixed head. And these pretty wacky, curvy rear panes of glass. Wind down little rear quarter windows there. Californian. This was based on the earlier Minxes, sort of mid 1950s. So what would this be? About 1955 or 56, something like that, I would have thought. Same front end as the Minx. Let's have a look at the 1955 Hillman California. It's Californian. Has an N on it. But yeah, really groovy looking car. What a fantastic thing that is. Was that designed for the American market or just to be sold here but inspired by the American market? Not quite sure, but either way, fantastic looking little car. What an interesting car that is. Now we are on the Northwest Casual Classics. First glance I assumed this was a 16 when I was walking over, but apparently this is a 12. Very nice too. Standard 10. Always got a bit of a soft spot for these, as regulars to the old classic car channel will know all too well. Lovely little standard coupe here. Very swish little car, the Avon Standard Special. What a beauty that is. We've got a post-war standard here, drop air coupe. What's this, a 12 possibly? The pre-war cars have like slats in the side of the bonnet there. And then after the war they were introduced, or reintroduced rather, for a short time. Standard 12 drop head, registered 1947. There we go. So that's the background to that one. 1947. Fantastic. There's that little 3 Series BMW, the Riley 1.5. 3 Series Beamer. Bit of everything really, isn't there? On the Northwest Casual Classic stand. The Riley Elf. A little Nissan, the 100NX. Is that it? Yep. These were built from 92 to 1995, so that's a bit of an unusual sight nowadays. Rover 95, the P4, and the Volvo 700 series on the end here. Here is that bright red Volvo Amazon, the 122S. Another car I've got a real soft spot for, having had a few of these a little while ago. One of them, a green 122S, I owned twice. Twin carburettors, very popular in historic rallying these are, but these drive really nicely. This is a 2-door. You can also get the 4 doors and the capacious estate version as well, but this is the 2-door 122S. Nice pair of Lucas lamps on the front of that one. This is quite a late one. I'll go past this Bonnie little Escort, and here's that 544 Sport. Lovely looking car, and again, one or two of these have graced the garage at OCC HQ over the years. The last one was a 444. Very neat car indeed. 3.8 Mark II. The MG on the end here. Another multi-mark club here, the Manchester Historic Vehicle Club, and headed here by a pair of green MG YA saloons. Very nice too. These have the built-in jacks, the Jackal system, the same setup as we've got on the Pilot. And it's great to see two of them together. You occasionally see one of these, but it's unusual to see two together. One's two-tone and the other's all over the same shade of green. That A35 van at the back looks pretty familiar. Capri alongside that. MGA Roadster here. And there's that 3-litre Rover P5 Coupe. That's an unusual sight. Slightly different grille compared to the V8 cars. The V8 cars have a much bigger sort of like gold type badge affair in the middle of the grille. MGB GT with spanners for sale. The MGA, this time a fixed head coupe with a Roadster behind it. So nice to be able to do a bit of a comparison between the two styles of car there. And indeed the MGB alongside, which replaced the MGA in 1962. And we've got the Carman VW convertible. And we'll just wander down here, only because I want to feature as many pre-war cars as I can. And here we've got a Morris 8 Series 1 4-seat Tourer. Series 1 cars had the spoked wheels and the chrome radiator surround. The Series 2s looked pretty much identical but had the steel wheels, the easy clean wheels, and the body colour radiator surround. But otherwise they were pretty much the same type of car. I think they were 918cc, a little side valve engine that went on to feature under the bonnet of the Series E Morris and the first of the post-war Morris Minors, the lowlights. They also had the 918 series engine. Very bonny little car, as long as you're not in a hurry. And there's a Mitsubishi Lancer. It's a pretty rare sight. And a Moggy police car alongside that. It's really cool to see these two YA saloons together. Another mixed bag of classics along here. Little Opel saloon, is that the Ascona? The Rover 75. The Ascona 1.6S. Pretty neat. And here another Austin 7 Chummy, again fairly early with the scuttle mounted headlamps. Later Chummies, the headlamps moved to what you'd think is maybe the more conventional position either side of the radiator. Is that John Bull? Neat little mascot. Yeah, isn't that great? We've even got a plastic bicycle. South Cheshire American and Classic Car Club. Didn't even know there was one, to be honest. So, the mighty 59 Cadillac. And look at this Lincoln, what a huge machine that is. The size of the bonnet of that, it's just enormous. Crazy, crazy big. The opera windows in the back corners. Look at this Dodge here, Dodge Coronet, 4-door. The Ford Side Valve Owners Club is over there. We'll get round there a little bit later. Look at this 58 Buick. What a machine that is. And there's that LTD station wagon. Right, let's carry on over this way in the direction of the Granada Club stand. The mighty Granada estate. And look at this, is it a Coleman Mill limousine? The Lancashire Capri Club. Pretty wild looking Mark 1 here. What's the story with this, I wonder? X-Works Capri. Started life as a stock 3000 GT, driven off the production line to British Vita racing team in Littleborough, Lancashire, to be developed for the British Saloon Car Championships. A T-Bird of the late 1970s, complete with headlamps that disappear behind these rotating panels. Very different to the earlier car parked alongside it. Here we got the Droop Snoot Club, Vauxhall Chevette, the HSR, the Chevette HS, I believe, and two examples of the Droop Snoot Sports Hatch. Occasionally we see one of these at some of the events we get to, but very rare to see two. This is the M6 Junction 16 Motoring Club. So cars old and not so old. This pull handle 64 MGB we have seen before. There's a great little Austin A35. We've seen this one at the Crewe Heritage Centre. I well remember seeing this one turn up. Very bonny little car. All sorts of cars, including this. Now this is rare, the Austin 1300 GT. So this was the sporting version of the 1300 in the early 1970s. I guess this was kind of the replacement, or the spiritual successor maybe, to the MG 1300. Very distinctive cars with these sort of dustbin lid wheel trims. Those were unique to the 1300 GT, I think. There's a Morgan next to that. The very cheerfully coloured MGB Roadster, advertising the Middlewich Classic Car and Bike Show. This incredible bright red, super shiny Ford Consul Capri, a sporting brother to the Consul Classic saloons, the 2 and 4 door saloons. Yeah, very rakish, very sporty interior, and I love that extra binnacle with the extra gauges down there. So you've got an ammeter, an oil pressure gauge to the right, and a tacho in the centre there. Very, very neat setup indeed. Yes, in beautiful condition, this one. Looks good next to the little Bond. Right, let's carry on our quest to see what other cars are here today at Tatton Park. A very display on the Volvo Owners Club stand. Estates, coupes. This is the 145S that we featured that back at the Middlewich Classic Car Show, I think, in 2023. This one's been brought back from Kenya, if memory serves, hence the later registration number. Pig 1800s. I think this is one of the fuel injected ES's. Yep, it's got the Bosch fuel injection on here. As always with all the classic car shows we get to, lots of MGs, MGAs, MGBs, MGB GT V8s. All sorts, all different shapes, colours, years, lots of little subtle trim differences as well, just to differentiate one here from another. The South Cheshire Collectors Car Club stand. You'll be familiar with quite a few of these, I imagine, if you've been watching the goings on here at OCC for a while now. There's that Fiat Panda 100 horsepower that we saw driving in. There's the Riley, Healy, 911 Targa over there, XK8, MG, and over here we appear to have the Renault Club stand. Renault 12, there's that yellow one in the background we saw driving earlier. Here's the one that we see at quite a few events. This one gets around, it's immaculate. And it always tickles me, this little thing on the dash. No 4CVs or Dauphines. There's this really neat little Renault 9 here. The Laguna. I can never tell my Renault 15s from my 17s. Just I don't see them often enough, I think. So let's cheat as always. Look round the back. And the 17 TL. That's quite a groovy looking car. Oh, so 1970s. Quite a sporty dash as well. That colour really suits it, as do those wheels. The Cheshire Classic Car Club stand here. I didn't realise there were so many classic car clubs around this area. There's a wolf in sheep's clothing, a Cortina twin cam. The bonnet is raised. So what's that? A Ford Duratec ST engine. Even more variety along here. We've got the Hillman Avenger, a Consul Classic 2-door, another Consul Classic 2-door. There's a Consul Capri over the end there. MGB, another Granada Estate over the back. There's a great old pre-war Austin Tourer here. A handsome old girl. A55 Cambridge, the Mark II, with a fine array of badges on the front of this one. Really nice little Herald over there, and a Capri 2. Mark II MX5, and in front of that, the VW based Puma. This is a Brazilian little sports car. Rear engined air cooled VW power. Pretty unusual to see one of these here in the UK. Very neat looking little car, I think. Here we go, Ford Side-Valve Club. I feel kind of at home here, having had a number of Ford 10s over the years. Here's a Prefect. We had a Prefect a little while ago, an E93A Prefect. There's an Anglia just like the one we had until not that long ago, before the V8 Pilot came along. Lovely Bakelite dashboards in these, compared to the pressed tin dash of the Pop, which came later. The 1172 Pop 103E was based on this, had a slightly larger engine, but was even more basic than this. And there's the Falcon Caribbean, which is based on Ford running gear. There's that super short rad Ford Model Y, super original looking car, that one. Proper survivor class car, this one.
Looks like I'm 25 quid up there. That dress is coming to me. Give it to me other girlfriend.
These little noddy indicators were a sort of 1950s accessory. No pop-up semaphores on this one, they're standard. So those were fitted in much more recent times, just to give drivers behind a bit of an idea of which way you were planning on turning. There's the 100E Prefect in grey, the 4-door 100E, and the Ford Pop 103E. This was a later car compared to that Anglia we were looking at a few minutes ago. Smaller headlamps, painted bumpers as opposed to chrome bumpers. The Anglia had the little shiny trims around the vents on the side of the bonnet as well. Like I say, it's got a pressed metal dashboard in this. Presumably a bit cheaper to produce than the Bakelite job in the Anglia, and the Prefects for that matter. There's another 103 alongside it. One family owned from new. And here is that lovely little Ford Prefect, a little 10 horsepower car, the drop head coupe. What a rare, unusual car that is. Very long doors, 4-seater I think. Lovely soft top on it. What a rare car that is. A lot of the export cars often had these extra little lamps fitted to the front wings. I know the E83W vans, like those that went to say Canada, they had the little extra lamps on the front wings. Bit of blurb here, and there's a photo of it pre-restoration. This is the 7W. I was trying to remember if it was a 7W or 7Y, but this is the 7W. So the front end is very similar to the Pop, but it's got this very distinctive sort of 3-slot grille, if you like, and those are really hard to find now. If you damage that, that's going to take a long time to replace. So the front is very similar to a much later Pop, but it's got the 4-door body very similar to that of the Prefect. So Ford did a lot of mixing and matching when they came up with their models, the Ford 8s and the 10s, which were very much sort of the economy cars in the Ford ranges at the time. But yeah, both super rare cars there. We've got a modified Pop here, a little 2-door 100E Pop, because when the 100E came out in the early 1950s you had the Anglia and the Prefect, whether you wanted 2 or 4 doors, and they were replaced by the popular. And over here, the Prefect 107E. Let's have a closer look at these little commercials over here. So we've got the Fordson 500 weight, These are great. It's nice to see one that hasn't been hot rodded, because a lot of these things get hot rodded to varying levels and success. Well, this is actually quite rare. It's not an E494C, this is earlier, with this sort of grille like this. EO4C perhaps. Either way, super rare. And here, a Model Y based van. That is a real treat to see that one here today in two-tone cream and brown. And next to that, a pickup. Wowzers, that is a bit special, that is. Fab little Morris 1100 over here, 1966. Got a TVR 350i and a Honda Civic over there. Who remembers those? The Rover 213. And a white one alongside that. And the 1500, the Vandenplas 1500. Based on the Allegro, but they never mention Allegro in the sales brochures. And over here, a 79 Austin Maxi. Okay, E-Type Series 3, the V12 2+2. The Ford Escort RS Turbo. There's a Figaro and the Nova we saw coming in, a TR7 2-litre fixed head. Some goodies for sale on the floor, so we'll always have to have a close look there, just in case there is something we need. A Super Minx convertible. Wow. It's not every day you see one of these. Bit of Beach Boys pumping out. Sir Clive Sinclair's C5. Closest I got to this was the ZX81 and the Spectrum computer. There's Lightning McQueen. And here, that super rare Super Minx convertible. Good to see another pre-war car. This is a Wolseley Wasp. 1069cc overhead cam engine. Cost new £165. Sneak around here, let's have a quick look. So is this the understudy to the Hornet that we saw before, which has a fairly small capacity 6-cylinder engine? Very similar era to this, look very, very similar shape. I'm guessing these two are probably sold alongside each other in Wolseley agencies in the mid-1930s. Oh, that's a nice car, I like that. Alongside the E-Type, here's that lovely Sunbeam Talbot. What a great looking car. There's a couple of these were on the shortlist when we were looking around last year, and we ended up buying the V8 Pilot, but I was definitely considering one or two. There's a couple of these that we were looking at for sale here and there. And yeah, as a sporting saloon of the 1950s, these have a lot going for them, and I could easily see one of these joining the garage at some point in time, because they're just great sporty cars. And again, really nice interiors in these. Got the suicide rear doors, rear hinged, standard at the front. Beautiful interior. Lovely Festival of Britain. There's that stunning low-light Tourer. Yeah, so mechanically a lot of this was based on the Series E that came along before. This is the MM. Like I was saying before, when this one drove in, you can see how they made up the original chrome bumpers for these, and then they decided to add a few inches in the middle, which is also the reason for this strip down the centre here. This was the extra bit of width that they added to the Morris Minor right at the 11th hour. and that had to be reflected in the bumpers. Now they'd already made a batch of front bumpers, so rather than making some fresh bumpers to match the new width of the widened car, they just put this little fill-in plate instead.
Oh, I've got some of those.
Same at the back. When these were developed, they were called the Mosquito.
Thank you anyway, cheers.
Lots of Morris Minor engine discussions. Let's carry on along here. Morris's in all colours. Saloons and the woody Traveller estate. This one looks like it's got new wood on it. Of course you can buy all the wood for these, but fitting them is probably really the preserve of someone who knows what they're doing. That's not a job you're going to do yourself over the course of a couple of weekends. And here, a little Tourer. It's a slightly poorly looking Mercedes here. I think we are approaching the classic auction area. So presumably these are some of the cars that are booked in, including this pretty desperate looking Jensen Interceptor. Well, that's going to swallow up a few quid to get that one looking straight again. Because unlike the CV8 that came before, which was fiberglass body, these were all steel bodywork. Wow, look, everywhere you look. Even the roof is looking pretty desperate. Someone's been jumping up and down on there. It's a world of pain if you're ever going to try and get this back on the road again. I'm not sure if it's a bit too far gone, to be honest. Every panel is just bad. Very, very bad. Looks like someone's rattle canned it and satin black just to make it all one colour, but I guess it's quite an early one on an H plate, Shropshire registered, but even so, pretty seriously bad. Let's have a look at the estimate. 7,000 to 9,000. A second generation Interceptor in need of total restoration. Wow. Who's feeling brave? I think the Merc just needs a good wash. Got an XJ, this is one of the posh ones, it's a Daimler, it's got the extra strips down the side, the Kent alloy wheels, Daimler 66, so it's a V12, it's quite a late one, but it's pretty sad. Talking of restoration project, how about this Lancia Fulvia? The estimate is 6,000 to 8,000 on this Fulvia. A nice car when it's done. 1.3 S3 from 1975. But if the Mercedes saloon is just too big for your garage, then perhaps this Pagoda SL is more up your strata. But good heavens, there's a bit of tin worm going on here. That would cost. It's got no floor. It's got the floor delete option in this one. Look at that. Wow, where has this been sat all this time? Oh my goodness. The Flintstone spec Mercedes SL, the Pagoda. Yeah, but look at the state of that. Wow. It'll be glorious if it ever gets restored. But will it ever get restored? Estimate 20 to 25,000 pounds. I suppose if you've got no other cars in the garage and you've got all the skills in the world and fairly deep pockets, then maybe you could take this on. But if you've got really deep pockets to restore one of these, wouldn't you just go and buy one that's already done? I don't know. Answers on a postcard. Would you take this on? Could you take this on? There aren't many people who could take on a project of this scale, but hopefully someone does. It's great that these barn finds are still out there. Italian market 250 SL Pagoda. So it's UK registered, so it's left-hand drive, so you'd have to really think about converting it to right-hand drive. 20 to 25,000 pounds. I mean, I like them, but well, If you're watching this and you're the winning bidder on this at the auction, let me know your plans for it, and better still send me some photos when you've restored it. Managed to get into the main auction area. Let's have a quick scoot round and see what gems we've got coming up for auction with Classic Car Auctions. We've got a midget 1500 here. Quite a gaggle of cars. Got a mini cabriolet. This is one of the factory built mini cabriolets. They did a few of them. There's a little Sprite Mark 1 and a flat rag Morgan over here. A pair of Bedford CA campers, the CA Debonair, the fiberglass bodied CA based on the Mark III. We've got a Dormobile alongside that. That's based on the Mark II Bedford CA. Mark 1 Ford Transit over there, Alpha Spider, the 500 SEC Mercedes, the W126 era coupe, probably the C126 technically. There's Mr. Brewer. Get all sorts here. Cavalier 4x4. Sierra Sapphire Cosworth, 5 Series BMW here, the E28.
Everything really. I mean, it's pristine. So I do hope somebody buys it. Cars ain't really last year for 60 grand.
Let's carry on round here. The Maserati 222E, boxy Maserati of the 1980s. 420 SL there. There's a 500 SL over near Mr. Brewer. Riley RM Saloon next to a Citroen DS. Quite a variety of cars here. The estimate on this 10 to 12. The Citroen DS 22 to 26. DS Palace 1973 left hand drive. RM's very nice looking car, I like that. Jago Jeep. Jaguar 3.8 Mark II. What good heavens, what's happening with this Daimler V8? What's happening here? Has it still got the original 2.5 V8, or maybe someone's even shoehorned the Daimler Majestic engine into it, who knows? Much wider at the front. Many things going on here. Mean in green, 2.6 litre Daimler V8. Yeah. Oh, look over there, Ford V8 Pilot. But first, how about this? A Mark III Zodiac Estate. Classic estate car certainly appeals. Look at this old V8 Pilot. We had ours out only yesterday evening. We had a bit of a move around in the garage and we took ours out for a bit of a run. This one's got some very fetching Marshall headlamp lenses on it, which I've never seen on one of these before. Otherwise pretty much the same as ours. 3.6 flathead V8. Estimate 12 to 15 on this one. I like that sticker. I wonder where I got one of those from. Looks like it's been retrimmed at some point in time. Otherwise looks pretty similar to our car. It's pretty tidy. Pretty similar condition to ours really. I like that filler cap. Wouldn't mind one of those. The Volvo, the auction's taking place as I speak. There's a little Fiat Giardiniera next to a Saab V4. Isn't that lovely? There's a lovely grey one of those at Goresworth Hall only a week or two back. Really tasty little car. Look at that. How dinky is that? Room for 4, just. That is a little sweetie pie, that is. Even a dinky little tractor. complete with Austin badge. The Austin Patterson 7 Garden Tractor, 1929. A twin gearbox Patterson Garden Tractor. Oh, I love the seat. I'm sold just based on that seat alone. How fantastic is that? I'll buy it. A little Austin 7 engine tucked away under there. A little 747cc, little side valve engine, aluminium crankcase, a little updraft carburettor, tiny little carburettor. Yeah, that's great. Somewhat modified taxi. And the Rills. And the Bentley alongside it, a T1. So this is the Bentley equivalent to the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. But I do prefer these. I prefer the curvier radiator surrounds on the Bentley compared to the slightly more angular version on the Rolls-Royce. And there are far fewer of these around as well, so if I was going to get one of these, Shadow or a T-Series Bentley, this would be the one that I would go for, I think. Right, let's get back to the main show area. There's been some modifications to the ignition system on this TR6. It's the Austin A35 van roof vent. Over here, a standard Super 10 of 1955. Apparently this one is called Dorothy. This is the bigger engine car to our own little 8 sat at home. But I think I may have waxed lyrical before about this lovely curvy roof rack. This is the Porter rack. I've got a feeling I talked about this at one of the Woodford meetings over at the Avro Heritage Centre. But yeah, doesn't that just look in keeping? Perfect for a 1950s car, a nice little curvy roof rack, so we like that one a lot. Nice two-tone interior, a little bit tidier than ours, I suspect. And this has the luxury of an opening rear boot, which of course we standard 8 owners, apart from the very late ones, we had to make do with putting our luggage in via the back seat. Over here, bonny little Sprite, I think, caravan. Quite an early Honda 50 on there.
Classic.
This place.
a neat old Transit Mark 1 camper over there. Off goes the Model Y van. You can whip our cream, but you cannot beat our milk. 1933 Ford Model Y. Bit of a queue now, but this time for leaving. The immaculate Vauxhall Nova there. Super little Wolseley. That's the 6-cylinder Wolseley Hornet. That sounds very bonny, that does. Following the 2005 Jaguar XJ6. It's a great Van den Plas 4-litre R. 1966 Spitfire 1500. The Opel Manta I 200 behind that. I can hear something behind me, and that something is the lovely old Bedford. What a fantastic thing that is. What a beautiful old lorry. BMW Z3 1998. Very smart chrome bumper B. Mazda MX-5 Mark II. Here comes that Jensen SV8. What a treat to see that here today. Such a rare car. They made very, very few of those. There's a stately Rover P4, the Rover 100. Triumph TR6. And there's that stunning Sunbeam Talbot 90. I really like that. It's got a great selection of badges on the front as well. That's lovely. Over there, behind that, MGF. It's a beautiful pre-war Singer. It's like a rolling motor show. And there's that fantastic Hillman Minx Californian. Such a rare car, that now. It's a fine looking motor car. Great collection of old cars here today at Tatton Park. It's been a real treat. Kind of wish I could come back tomorrow, but we're elsewhere tomorrow, so we'll just have to make do with today. Many bumper overriders forming the grille on this slightly modified Moggy Traveller. So, thank you very much for watching this visit to Tatton Park Classic Car Show in 2024. I'll include a link to last year's video as well, because that was a bit of a cracker as well. It's a huge show. It's one of the biggest shows of its type here in the northwest of England, so I had to come. It's just, you see so many cars, quite a few that you don't see anywhere else, so that's what makes it all very jolly enjoyable. So thank you so much for watching. Please check out the rest of the channel, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. There'll be many more videos along just like this very soon. So bye for now.